All right, guys, welcome to another live stream. Welcome to another live stream. Is the bull run over? Right now we're seeing a huge, well, not a huge crash, but we're seeing a crash in the market overall. We're seeing a crash in the crypto market. We're seeing a crash in the stock market, and everybody's panicking. Everybody's saying this is the big reversal. This is the end of the bull market. Take your money out, sell everything. And I think the bull market is not over. I think the bull market is just beginning. But you got to understand with dips like this, I think a lot of these dips are artificial, right? I think people with money know that we're going into a big bull run, right? If we just look at the catalyst ahead, one, we have interest rate cuts, right? So most likely it's going to be in September. And it's looking like they're going to be cutting interest rates again after September, maybe in November. And then they're thinking about December, right? Where the rumor is that there may be three rate cuts this year towards the end. It may be rushed. And it makes sense, right? We're going into an election year, so they want to make sure that the markets look good. They want to make sure that the people, the person that wins, when they take office, that they're taking office, they're taking office in a market environment that looks good, that makes them look good. So, interest rate cuts are inevitable at this point. And remember, when they cut interest rates, that just means companies are able to borrow at lower rates, and they're able to invest more into their company. And that essentially brings more money to the market or more money to their business, and their company grows, their share price grows, and money just flows into the market. So I don't think that the bull market is over. If I look, I'm gonna share my screen, but let me take a look at crypto prices. I don't want to share my screen today. All right. So if we look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's at 65,000. It's taking a dip, but remember, just a few weeks ago we were at 53,000. So dropping down. I think we were at 68. Dropping from 68 to 65 is not a big deal, especially when we were just at 53,000. So yeah, it's really not that bullish. We're gonna get dips like this throughout the bull market, especially for crypto. And this is not as big as the dip we just had. The dip we had before was huge, right? So we went from 75,000 all the way to 53,000. Now it didn't just go straight down to 53. It was a gradual decrease with some big dips in there and then some small dips, but it took some time to get to 53. But ultimately, it was from all-time highs like 73, 74. We came back all the way down to 53, and we bounced back all the way up to 68 the other day, and now we're taking a dip down to 65. For me, the market is just cooling off. If you go all the way from 53,000 to 68, that's a $15,000 increase in the asset price. 15,000 divided by 53, that's almost a 15 to 20% upside. So the market definitely needs to cool off a little bit. Now, as we get into the mania of this crypto bull run, I think we're definitely going to get some dips like this, but the spikes up are going to be a lot more fierce, a lot more dramatic as far as the swings. I think in a typical bull run, we could see a $30,000 to $40,000 increase in BTC within a month. Right? It's not going to take a couple months or 3 months. We're going to get those type of swings in 1 month. In some cases, weeks. So, because I remember the bull run in 2017, you would refresh your phone every 2 seconds, and I think Bitcoin was up like $2,000 to $3,000. Like every time you refresh your phone, it was up. So I think people forget that that's what happens during these crypto bull runs, and they lose patience, they lose faith in what they're invested in. and rightfully so for some of you. Because some of you are in meme coins, coins that don't have any utility. So yeah, for some of you, it does make sense that you get scared out. You end up selling your position. But if you're in quality assets, especially if you're in BTC or Ethereum, you shouldn't be getting scared out. Again, we just had a pullback. Like these pullbacks should show you, okay, if we just went to 53 and went up to 68, it just tells you that these are normal dips. So, and right now we haven't really even, this is not even a dip, right? This is just like, honestly, it looks like I'm looking at the chart, it looks like it's consolidating. All right, but enough of the crypto. If we go into the stock market, NVIDIA's crashing a little bit too. So it's down to 114. There was a lot of people on Twitter saying that the spike is over. Now I'm looking at NVIDIA's chart, and they have earnings coming up. I think in the end of August, they have earnings coming up. So what can happen to NVIDIA if earnings don't come out really well, like if they come out and say we made about the same amount, it doesn't even have to be negative. It could be like, oh, we only made the same amounts since last quarter, or we equaled the amount we made since last quarter. We didn't do good, we didn't do bad, we just did here. But if they say they went down in sales, then I could see that correction happen for NVIDIA. And the chart does look overextended. I mean, I'm looking at the chart now, and it looks like after the split, it went from so I'm talking before split price, it went from 250 to around $1,200 or $1,300. I'm not sure how high NVIDIA went, but I think it was like, yeah, $1,200, $1,200 to $1,300. So 250 to 1,250, and it didn't take a dip. Now they did the stock split. It's sitting at 114. So the chart looks like it went from 25 to 114. So for me, it could potentially, it all depends on their earnings. If they report good earnings, if they report, hey, we exceeded by 5 to 10% since last quarter, I think it'll shoot up a lot more. But the chart does look overextended. But there's a lot of bullish catalysts coming up. So it just depends on the news. You know the interest rate cuts are coming. So that is not a debate. So that's going to be positive for companies like NVIDIA. So, yeah, I think I think the bull market is not over. The bull market is just beginning, especially for the crypto market. Now, obviously, some narratives are going to play out a little bit more than others. So, you have to be in the right narratives when it comes, even in the stock market, right? AI is taking over, so you want to be in the semiconductor plays. You want to be in companies that are using AI, and their whole operations is around AI, the way they make money. Now, NVIDIA is not technically AI, but they provide the GPUs that AI needs, right? So, yeah, I don't think the bull market is over. I think we're just seeing a little dip. Now, I did get my book, Covered Calls for Beginners. I started reading it yesterday. Now, like I said, I do have experience with stocks. So I did start reading some of this book. And in the beginning, there was some interesting stuff. It was talking about the tulip mania and how that kind of started options. So if you don't remember the tulip mania, I believe it was Holland was the place, but essentially tulips were very scarce to come by, and essentially people started selling the options to buy the options to buy tulips at any time, but you didn't get the tulip. You just bought the right. So if I owned a tulip, I sold you the rights to buy it at any time. But at that time, tulips were going for so much money. So let's just say the tulip cost $10,000 and I bought the right to buy it from you for 400. You don't get the tulip, but you paid me 500 to have the right to buy it at any time. But the problem was the tulips kept going up in price, right? And people just kept selling the rights to buy the tulip, but there was no underlying value there. It was scarce to come by. And then people finally realized that the tulip was just a regular flower, and it wasn't that hard to come by. I think it was just at the time the way it came about. It seemed like a rare flower to produce or something like that. So people said, "Hey, I'm going to start selling you. I could sell you the rights." So it was just basically options, right? You cover calls. So this book is about cover calls for beginners. If you don't know what cover calls is you own the stock and you sell the option to buy back to buy the stock at a certain strike price. And yeah, that's what I want to learn about. And again, I already know options terminology, so it was easy I was skipping to certain chapters. Like right now, I'm focusing on the chapter that talks about specific KPIs and specific ratios you should look at to see which stock to own and which stock is going to do good in the future, or which stock is reliable to hold to eventually sell call options on. Because so what they say here is you should sell call options on stocks that you're already in the profit in. So let's say I bought Nvidia at $100, now it's at 120. I'm up profit. So they say for those type of positions where you're up profit, you should sell cover calls on to make some additional money. Because if those calls get called, like if the person that buys the option, it does go past the strike price and they're able to call on that option, you have to give the shares back to them at that strike price. But at least you're in the profit, you're in profitability, and you can sell the stock, but not worrying about if you're going to lose money on it. It's a little bit complicated if you haven't dealt with options before, but covered calls is kind of the most simplest option strategy. And I want to learn about it because I think later on when I build out my portfolio, I'm going to want to write some covered calls on my positions to make some additional money. So I'm starting with this book. I think for me, though, it's going to be more getting used to just doing it. That's why I bought this book. Is only 170 pages. I like books like this that are very short because you can read them quickly and then you can go implement. My whole thing is about implementation. You could read all day, but if you don't implement stuff, you're not going to learn anything. So for me, I don't like getting books that are 300-400 pages. I like to get books that are specific to the topic I want to learn about, and they're straight and sweet to the point. Now, like I said, this book had little stories in it talking about tulip mania, and it was talking about the olive oil press, where somebody was selling the rights to use the olive oil machines or something like that. It was similar to the tulip thing, or basically, they were just telling us how options was originated. But yeah, I was able to skip to certain chapters because I already knew about options. Maybe for some of you, you have to read the whole book, but it is for beginners, so I think it's a good book. But I'm going to be reading this book, and then maybe in the near future, I do open up that brokerage account, and then I start it. For me, it's going to be, so the ultimate goal is to sell call options on the stocks you own and get the premium, and then hopefully your stock price is either at the same price you bought the call option at, or it's higher. You don't want this price of the stock to be lower, because then you either have to sell at a loss, or you have to hold on to that stock until it gets back to that price. Now, obviously, you would be in the good quality stocks because those are the stocks you want to write call options on, cover call options. But Yeah, the whole point of it is to get in and out, make your premium, get in and out, and get into another positions. You don't want to be holding stuff for the long time unless it's a position that you want to invest in for the long term. But yeah, that's my book came in, so I was pretty excited about that. But yeah, the market is not. I don't think the bull market is over. I think the bull market is just beginning. This is just a little setback. And I think Nvidia, I'm not sure. Nvidia looks overextended, but I could definitely see it going to like 4 or 5 trillion before it does like a major correction. But it could be doing its major correction now. Who knows? But again, there's a lot of bullish catalysts coming up, so it may go on another run for a little bit. And depending on the earnings, could be another thing that pushes it to the top, depending on how that goes. But yeah, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Instagram, Mr. Financial Nutrition, TikTok, Financial Nutrition. I post there Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. During the week, I post at 6 p.m. And on Sunday, I post at 11 to 12. So yeah, follow me on those platforms, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Take care.